Well, we started out the week well with a good win in the middle of the week, and then from there moved into the weekend. Had another good win on Friday night, and then we let the series get away from us on Saturday and Sunday, which is disappointing. We've got to be able to learn if we can take game one on Friday. We've got to try to win the series the next day. It was good to see us come back from losing those two and being able to go to Tulane on the road and win with an extra inning game. Now we'll have quick turnaround time out of here tomorrow morning, and on in to Georgia. It's conference now. Everybody's records flip back to 0-0, but for us, we've got to continue to swing the bat better. We did that against Tulane the other night, and now we've got to try to continue to do that. We still had a chance in the first inning to break the game open and didn't do it. We got to get better at that. We got a ball in the gap late in the game, which broke the game open, which is important. It's one of the things we've been lacking all season. So if we can do that, we'll pick Hogan Harris back up. If nothing has a setback in the next 2 to 3 days for Sunday, that's why we put Schmitty on a short start last night, so that he could come back and be with us on Sunday, depending on what happens with Hogan. So if nothing sets him back, we don't know if surely he's not going to probably be able to go out there and log in 89, 90 pitches. At least you got appropriate music, Jay. But right now we hopefully we can get going and again just swing the bat better. The games against South Alabama, we made a couple critical error by not really getting it out on a bunt. We had 2 chances to get out on a bunt. We did, and we've got to do a better job there. When somebody's playing for 1 inning, we can't turn it into a multiple score inning. And when somebody's sacking, that's what they're telling you, is they're playing for 1 run. But then we let that turn into a bigger situation. On Sunday, we kicked a couple balls and turned something into a big situation. But at least Sunday they continue to fight back throughout the whole ball game. Mole hit a ball in the nose that gets down the left field line. We're probably at a 1-run, 2-run deficit right there. But then we got some tack-on runs at the end. Our bullpen threw well at Tulane, which is good. They're constantly all getting some more experience on the back end of the bullpen. So hopefully we can kind of put everything together. We've been fortunate enough to pitch very well prior to conference and be able to play very good defense. Played good defense again last night. Cantrell made a really nice play with the infield in, had to backhand a short hop ball, and then still have the wherewithal to throw the runner out on the run on ground ball contact, and that was a big play for us. And getting Demo back out and getting us out of that inning with those 2 outs he got was huge, and glad for his confidence to come back around and close out the game for us. Got to get rid of those 2 hit batters, but other than that, he got a little bit back closer, I think, to having some good confidence, and that's going to do nothing but help us on the back end of a game. We like where we're at with Stokey, but if we can continue to get Demo back with some confidence, that's going to do nothing but help us. So, we'll get out of here early tomorrow, work out Thursday, and then get after it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Questions you might have?
After he hit the second guy, the TV camera caught Dylan, and he was like, "I'm good, I got it."
Yeah.
So it seems
Yeah.
like he's like almost all the way back to, does the double play ball like almost get him all the way there? And then also you were talking on the TV afterwards about what he was dealing with there, working everything around.
Yeah.
Shoulder? Or?
Yeah. At the end of last season, they kind of rehabbed all around it. I don't know if he can fully get back to there, but right now he's learning how to pitch off his changeup now, which is good. Even in the Nichols game, he had a flare that fell in on him and a little tough ground ball that went to the middle of the field that we couldn't finish the play on, and they took him out of the game. So he was close right there, but he just couldn't get a break. What I was glad for him last night was he came in, got 2 critical outs in a critical situation, and then rolled that double play off a lefty, which was really big. And so that, it's going to help him with his confidence. The other night when he came in, he was 87 to 88. He touched some 88s, so that's good because now his variables get broader between his changeup slider, and his fastball. When your variables drop, it puts you too close. Their swing path can catch all three pitches in one swing, and that's really what was giving him some trouble. So I think if he can continue to reinvent himself a little bit too, like he's doing, I think that'll do nothing but help him. But last night was really big for him. I'm glad for him and his confidence.
You've been playing Fondo at first lately.
Uh-huh.
You talked before the season, about how he's your do-everything guy.
Uh-huh.
How much do you like what you've seen with that, and is that something you might stick with?
Yeah, we started with it last night again, until, somebody else maybe comes on, or another hole comes up and we have to service it with him, we'll move him. But right now, going into conference, we like where he's at. We as a coaching staff, we felt we needed to put two more lefties in the lineup. We were getting killed by right-handed sliders and right-handed breaking balls. So that's why we went grab Ramos and Coker, is because with LaHare, Cantrell switching, and Castles, we only had three lefties when we had to face the curveball and the slider. But picking up two more guys gives us five lefties in the lineup now, which I think has really helped us to defend off the slider and the breaking ball, because all the DHs are right-handed laden. So being able to have Ramos and be able to have Coker has really helped us. Now we can now move guys back in when we face the lefty and get them out, and then have them come in and help us when we do face the right-handed breaking ball. And it's really helped us throughout our lineup, having five lefties in there now instead of just three.
In terms of the hitter's confidence, I know you said you had a season high in hits yesterday, but you said you wanted more production out of your lineup. So how do you balance, telling the guys, hey, try this or do this, versus, setting back your confidence? Because, baseball's a sensitive game, and
It is.
Respond to things differently. So.
Well, it's kind of like an Oreo. You give them the good, that's the top. In the middle, you give them the bad, and then you try to sandwich it with good again. So we want to stay a realist. We like having 13 hits. That's good, but we also want to make sure that if we can grab somebody by the throat early, we got to grab somebody by the throat early instead of somebody grabbing us by the throat. So we're always going to tell them the truth. If they can't handle tough talk, then they need to get out of here. They're not going to be coddled. That's half the problem. It is what it is. We felt better last night. Collectively, we're getting better, but I still think there's some areas we got to continue to press on with. And when we have a chance to get somebody, we got to have somebody, stand up and answer the bell when it rings.
And do you feel like you guys have what it takes right now to just sort of flip the light switch, so to speak, now that the conference play is beginning? Do you feel like?
Well, what you want to do is, we try to tell them all the time, when we start the season, that there's a couple different seasons, and you have to be able to handle each season. You have non-conference, you got conference. The season starts out fun, and then it starts to be a grind, and then you got postseason or your conference tournament. Then you got postseason. That's when it starts to get fun again. But you got to get through the toughest times. We also tell them all the time too, when we start the season, that W stands for win and L stands for learn. That you don't really lose games. The only time you lose games is when you fail to learn. So what we've got to do now is if we have a second gear we're hitting this weekend, then shame on us. I mean, you ought to be playing with one gear. I think what you got to do this weekend is hopefully take everything that you've learned and use it, because now that L is going to turn from learn to a loss if you fail to have learned. So hopefully we can keep pitching, we can keep playing good defense, and collectively through our order continue to get better as hitters, because that's where our move needs to make. I think last night we came back and I think batting average went up to 199. So I asked Jeff if you could round it up at all for me. But as a realist, when you sit and look and understand that we played Texas 3 times, we blew a save that should have won 2 out of 3. We went in and played at Minute Maid against Mississippi State and Kentucky and Vanderbilt, LSU, Wright State, South Alabama, with a 175 batting average, and live to tell about it. I mean, we're very fortunate. So if we can just get that side going, I'm not big about average. I don't really care about average, even though I said that. That's result oriented. I'm really trying to stay focused on our process. How are we growing through this? How are we getting better through this? And you don't want to end up at the end of the season with me answering the same questions from you, because that means we wouldn't have learned, we wouldn't have gotten any better. So hopefully this weekend we can take what we've done in this first season, if you will, and put it to use. We are driving the ball better. We got a ball in the gap. Our extra base hits need to come up. Our slug needs to come up. And our on-base percentage needs to come up, because batting average only has a 60% effect on runs scored, but on-base percentage and slugging percentage has a 90% effect on runs scored. So you want your on-base and your slug to come up. Those two things are critical. And so that's what we need to continue to work on. And I do know they feel better about themselves. You know, there's a lot less pressing, a little bit more confidence. So that can do nothing but help us going into the weekend. Huh? Middle. Or well, that's you know, you got to give them something good, something bad, and something good again. You got to sandwich it. You know, today's kid. You know. I understand. I know. I hate to beat up on an Oreo cookie too. That'll go viral.
Any more questions? Coach, Wyndham yesterday, was that just a missed sign getting thrown out of third at the steal, or?
Yeah, he thought he saw something else. Yeah.
And what was the thought behind flipping Bourgeois and Maher? By the way, I love that move, but I was just curious why.
Both of them can be leadoff candidates. And one of them was kind of struggling a little bit or having some bad at bats. So sometimes you got to flip their brain. And a lot of times just flipping a guy one spot in order sometimes can flip his brain, where he's not leading off the game. He has to wait for somebody else to hit and then get in. So sometimes it'll flip their brain, you know, when you flip them in something like that. But there was no other reason other than both of them are capable of being 1 and 2 hole hitters. We just flipped them to kind of see if we could flip Bourgeois' brain a little bit.
On the pitching side of things, do you feel like some of the games you guys have been through lately kind of has taught you just on the fly how to win close games even better? Agreed. I think, you know, when you beat on people and win 10-0 and 9-1, and you can get sloppy and mediocre and still win. We've been on the razor's edge since the first pitch was thrown against Texas, and so just like last night, you know, we get one run, and we feel that, hey, this might be all we're going to get. Let's go to work as a pitching staff. So I think it's helped the pitching staff along the way. I hope we score a bunch of runs, but sometimes, you know, scoring a bunch of runs, like I told them against South Al the other day, the 8-run lead, sometimes it's tough to play in a game like that. You know, you lose your edge, and then the other team starts to come back, and you have to try to go fire and get your edge back again. So sometimes that can be dangerous. And so one good thing is, I think we can take from this, is we've learned how to play in close games, to hopefully as we get in close games like last night or the LSU game or the Friday night game against South, we don't get spooked too much, because we've been in a lot of close games.
What do you like about Coker?
His swing path is good. It's consistent. It's repeatable. He is a freshman, but I like that he doesn't, you know, always jump so far out in front of the plate that he's in trouble on off speed. The hit he got to left field last night, he stayed back on an off-speed pitch. So you can hit and run him. You can bunt him. I mean, you can do a lot of things with him. He's not a big swing and miss guy. He's not a guy that can't bunt or can hit and run. Instead, you have to just sit there, because we can't win like that. I mean, there's no way we can just sit there and hit 175 to 185 with a ton of strikeouts and poor on base percentage and just sit. We can't do it. You know, last night we squeezed again. We didn't execute the squeeze, but we've got to do everything we can. You know, we had put our hit and run on. We bunted early in the game, moved a runner. We drag bunted with one out to try to get Castles a 2-out knock and get a run in. He hit a ball really hard. Their second baseman made a great play. A lot of people, you know, the game says, you know, why would you bunt with 1 out? You know, well, We're going to play for a hit. We got to, and if a guy's feeling good about himself, like Castle is, why not give him a chance to get a 2-out hit? So we've got to have guys that can move the ball around right now. We cannot sit there and be a high strikeout team like we were against Mississippi State and think we're going to be successful. And that guy was really good. But right now we're at least cutting our strikeouts down. But Coker's a guy that's got what I call a consistent, flat bat path. It stays in the hitting zone. He's helping us right now, and so is Ramos. They're giving us 2 extra lefties in that lineup because right-handed sliders and breaking balls are really giving us trouble.